Hi, I'm Jeremy Crosby.
And I'm Nick Boucher. We're your hosts for the program that's all about your city, Talking Fitchburg.
Every weekday, we pull together the news, events, and information you need to stay on top of what's happening in the city of Fitchburg.
Find Talking Fitchburg on cable TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, and our live stream on the web. Plus, you can find all our headlines and stories on Facebook, YouTube, and our video on demand service. This is your city.
Keep up with Talking Fitchburg and the issues affecting you and your neighbors.
Get connected, Fitchburg. We're launching Fitchburg Connect, the city's new monthly e-newsletter that keeps you informed about all the events, services, and updates that matter to you. Get it in your inbox once a month. Sign up today to get Fitchburg Connect.
I'll move approval.
Second.
Seconded, thank you. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That carries. Do we have any public appearances for non-agenda items? I don't think there's anyone here that's not related to one of the things on the agenda, but just want to make sure. Okay. Then the agenda review, any updates or changes up front?
I'll just run over a couple changes in general for the agenda this evening. Item 5A, the public hearing consideration of rezone and conditional use permit. Staff just found out this morning that a rezone is not necessary. Our official zoning map had an error in it, so that the rezone is not necessary. The property is currently zoned BG, so we will just go ahead and proceed with the public hearing and consideration of the conditional use only this evening. And then the other item is the early start, which is item 5E. The applicant has requested a postponement on that item. So those are all the changes this evening.
All right, thank you. Then first up is agenda item 5A, the public hearing and consideration of the conditional use 2631-26, which is to allow a culinary and event space on the property associated with 5335 Lacey Road. Is there anyone who wishes to speak on this? Are we online? Then I will close the public hearing and open up to staff comments.
Good evening, everyone. This property is located at 5335 Lacey Road, just east of the intersection of Fahey Glen and Lacey Road. The proposed business is The Hive, a culinary collective and event space. And as noted by Deanna, the existing zoning is BG. So the proposal is for culinary and event space. The applicant's business may operate outside of normal business hours. The proposed cafe hours are Wednesday to Friday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., and Saturday and Sunday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. The event space will be available 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. It should be noted that the cafe will sell food prepared in off-site commercial kitchens. No food will be prepared on-site. Capacity for the space will be capped at 50 persons, as the applicant notes that the space is intended to serve small and intimate gatherings. The exception to this is when weddings and private events are hosted, and these events shall end no later than 10 p.m., with the capacity still at 50 persons. Staff notes that no amplified music will be permitted outside, and the applicant confirms that all storage and trash will be located inside of the outbuilding. You can see the site plan put forward by the applicant. The applicant has proposed a site plan with 25 parking spaces, as the closest street parking is nearly a quarter of a mile away from the site. The parking lot will require the trees on the western side of the property to be cut down, and staff notes that additional trees will be needed to be planted on the site. In addition, screening must be installed in front of the parking lot along Lacey Road, as well as along the western and southern property edges. This screening may be a combination of landscaping and fencing. While this property's future land use designation is noted as mixed use, the surrounding area is overwhelmingly low-density residential. Staff emphasizes the importance of screening this parking lot from current and future residential neighbors. A final parking lot design will be worked out through architectural design review process. One more note, or a few more notes, I should say. Since the parking lot will be located on the western side of the property, the existing curb cut and concrete driveway, which are currently on the eastern side of the property, will need to be replaced, and the existing gravel driveway will also need to be removed. We're open to any questions. I guess, and I will note that staff recommends approval of conditional use 2631-26 with the 15 conditions.
Can I ask, what's the zoning immediately west of this on the corner there of Lacey?
Yeah, let me just bring that up for everyone. Map.
Is AT transitional agriculture?
Yeah. So the site in question is this one right here, and unfortunately our zoning map is incorrect. It's actually zoned BG. And so to the west, the property is zoned agricultural transition, which is just really a holding zoning district. I think what's more important is the future land use map. The future land use map, similar to this site that we're discussing, is mixed use, but it is limited by the comprehensive plan to 2 to 5 dwelling units per acre. So even though it's mixed use, right now it's not designated for high density residential. You might recall that a couple of years ago, there was a proposal for a minor comp plan amendment on this property. Josh, you probably wouldn't, but some of you might recall. There was a proposal for a small apartment building here, and there was a proposal to change the mixed use 2 to 5 dwelling units per acre to high density residential that was met with some opposition, and that request was actually withdrawn at the time. So this, yeah, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Would this proposal be consistent with mixed use?
Yeah, staff believes at this point it is. Mixed use is the future land use that we put all of our smart code districts in. If this site was completely redeveloped under mixed use, we would need to bring the building up closer to the front because it's really important that way. So I believe it meets the integrity of mixed use. The residential home will remain. The hive would be located in the building in the back here.
Is that a business now?
No, it is not.
What is it used for now?
I don't know that it's used for too much of anything right at this minute. I think a former owner had some minor business uses in there, but I don't know that it was ever like a full scale. Thank you.
I was just going to offer some clarification. So it is currently owned by Bernie Lang. He purchased it for his painting business, but he really just used that outbuilding to dry the doors that he had painted. He still has the home rented as a rental property, and the second story of the outbuilding is also rented out to a woodworker who has his hobby shop up there.
So, sorry, can you state who you are?
Sorry, my name is Melissa Rushdie. I am the owner and founder of The Hive.
And can you talk just about the conversion of the buildings? I mean, at this point, I'm seeing this as, a request to take down the trees, put in a parking lot on most of the western edge of the property and a driveway.
Yeah.
What's going to happen to the buildings?
Right now, I guess the structure of the building is going to look the same, but it's a glorified, I'm going to call it a barnette garage space. So we're going to have to add, painting and wallpapering. We're going to have to put a prep kitchen. We have to put 2 bathrooms, ADA compliant bathrooms in. So we're really changing the interior of it, but the exterior will still look the same.
And when you're saying all that, that's the outbuilding in the back, the house in the front will remain unchanged?
There will be some slight improvements to it, replacing 2 of the exterior porches for now.
What will that be used for?
Rental property. Continue.
That'll remain as a rental property?
Mm-hmm. I've talked to the current renters. If you think about it, Rusty B, for example, people live directly above it and love that they can go downstairs and just get a drink. In
True.
this case, they will have a private side yard that's fenced off. The driveway that I'm replacing or tearing out will become their private side yard with a privacy fence. So they have their own standalone home. They will now have a parking lot instead of just a gravel driveway. They'll have a designated parking space. And they'll also happen to have a cafe in the back. If they want to come and get a coffee, they can.
Have you talked to the neighbors?
Yes. We had a really successful neighborhood meeting. I've talked to Julie and Kevin, who live directly next door. They're actually very excited to collaborate. They have a business of their own.
And so I think that 25 parking spaces, do you really, most times would need 25 parking spaces for a small cafe?
No, I wouldn't, but there's no street parking. And if I am going to offer small weddings up to 50 people, I want to be able to offer and provide parking to people. So most of the time, no, I don't envision having all 25 parking spaces filled, but I don't want to tell people, sorry, you're going to have to walk a quarter mile or half a mile if you want to come here.
I both appreciate the desire to have parking for events like that. I just am curious if you really feel like it has to be, you could have it, in grass or something like that and still have people park on it on those rare occasions. Do you feel like it truly has to be paid
I
for
will
that?
be offering events every weekend of my own, not just renting it out to private individuals for their baby showers and that sort of thing. So every other weekend I'm having my own events that I'll be capping at 20, 25 people, and I need to be able to offer parking to them.
Okay.
And just to give you guys an idea, this culinary collective, I'm not making any of the food myself, but I find myself going into Madison a lot to go to Madison Sourdough for their cakes, or Tricky Foods for their charcuterie boards, La Baguette for their pastries. I'm working with all of these businesses and essentially acting as a wholesaler for them. So I'm bringing all of their stuff here, making it available in one place so people can come in and get all of these different goodies in one spot, and then serving those goodies at the events that I'm offering on the weekends.
Well, yeah, so it's primarily basically a cafe then. So the event is kind of secondary, or I'm just curious how it'll work.
I would say that for me, it's primarily an event space.
Oh, got it, yeah.
And I thought, well, it would be nice to offer this to the community during the week, a couple of days a week. But for me, my bread and butter is the events.
Great. Because it would be really, it sounds like a very cool thing to be able to come and get some of those great vendors who I think we're all familiar with here locally, which sounds great.
So I'm confused. On the days that you're going to open it to the public, you're saying this would be a place people would come and have a cup of coffee and then a cookie that you're bringing in. So it is like a coffee house in a sense.
Yeah.
On some days, but other days you're having your own structured
and
small events.
I've organized it so that it's always a coffee shop Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And there is never any coffee shop on the weekends, ever. So Saturday and Sunday are my designated event days, and those may be events that I am hosting and facilitating, or it may be that someone else has reached out and said, hey, I'd like to host a baby shower. I actually have a lot of businesses who have reached out and asked if they can host their events and co-host with me. There's a clothing store who wants to host a fashion show there, small fashion show. Wild Rue Events here in Fitchburg has asked if we can partner and do an event. So there's definitely a lot of appetite for it. But I'm intentionally wanting to keep it under 50 people. That's the real reason for it. Mm-hmm. It's unique. It's hard to wrap your mind around it. I get it. This isn't like your standard thing that people recognize, but.
Do we have any other questions? Otherwise, I'll take a motion.
I'll move approval of rezone and conditional use RZCU 263126 with the 15 conditions outlined by staff.
So it's just the conditional use because the zone is actually correct, but I will second on the conditional use.
All those in favor say aye.
Well, just one of the conditions has a typo. Number 4 says the hours are until 10 a.m. So.
Good catch.
Okay.
Wow, so I'll take that as a friendly amendment for the correction to item 4.
Okay, with that friendly amendment, with the correction to item 4, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That carries. All right, thank you.
So will this go to council still?
It will not.
Okay, thank you.
Well, the rezone will go, but it'll be on your agenda, but we'll just note it as withdrawn.
Okay, then next up is 5B. We have public hearing and consideration of rezone RZ 2633-26, request by Adam Gorman, agent for Gorman and Company, to rezone property from transitional agriculture to high-density urban to allow for a proposed multifamily residential development on property associated with Maple Lawn Heights Lot 6. And I know there's a couple of people who are registered for questions or to only, but do we have a few that are?
These are going to be public comments.
Great. So could I first then have Rob Rudolph? Yes, come on up and have a seat. And you'll have 3 minutes.
So my name is Rob Rudolph. I have been a tenant and a landlord at 2861 Index Road since 1995. I've seen a lot of changes to the area over all those years. I am representing DHR Investments, who owns the property, and I'm a member of that, and then Nichols Electric Construction, who is the tenant, and I was a former owner of that business, or a portion of that business, I should say. In general, as a construction person, I'm usually in support of any development, and I'd like to be in support of this development as long as some of our concerns as tenants and landlords can be addressed. So the first is the southern property line of 2861 Index Road would be the northern property line of this new lot, or not new lot, but the construction area. Right now, that whole area is all trees, and the sight lines to our yard and the area where we store vehicles and equipment and tools is pretty obstructed. There's not a whole lot of sight lines there. Presumably, it's going to be opened up a lot more, and more people are going to have visibility into our lot, and along with more visibility comes more opportunities for things to get stolen. What, if anything, is proposed to happen along that property line? Is there going to be a significant change in elevation or a fence or something to help minimize access from the general public onto our lot? And 2, with each development along this area, there have been, I think, 6 or 7 on this street for residential, high-density residential. Every time that one happens, there's more and more cars parked on the street. And now it's to the point where it impacts us significantly with not being able to have places for our employees to park. Thankfully, we've done some things to change how our business works and how many things we park in the back. So we've been able to relocate some people to park actually in our lot versus parking on the street. But it's a continual issue, like it's a daily issue. What's going to be done to help minimize the amount of on-street parking from the new tenants of this property? Third, with all the cars parking on the street, it's becoming more and more difficult for semis to access our dock and our driveway. And I'd like to know if anything can be done to try and help preserve the access that we currently have or have had for the last 30 years. Fourth item is what plans, if any, are there to minimize disruption of construction traffic? With every single development that's happened here, there's been increased truck traffic, increased construction employee parking, to the point where, like, when the building across the street was done, that's the most recent one, you couldn't park anywhere. You couldn't park for, I'd say, a quarter mile down the street because there were construction vehicles parked there starting at 6 a.m. all the way through the workday.
Great, thank you. Next, we have Ned Hoyt, who wishes to speak. Ned, come on up.
Good evening. How are you all? I want to just give a little bit of context. We had the contract on this property previously. Some of you heard us bring forward some initial plans for our Artist Lofts project. And I just wanted to give some context while voicing support for this particular project. So you may or may not recall, for some of you who are newer, that the fish hatchery or North Fish Hatchery visioning plan had a blob of color on this lot that marked it as a sports/arts precinct. I think it was, done slightly arbitrarily sort of at the time, but we tried to comply with that and had a concept for a mixed-use building with residential and arts-focused kind of commercial space. Realistically, we have not been able to progress that given the difficulty that we had in getting other commercial spaces that weren't directly on Fish Hatchery Road leased. The economics just weren't stacking up. We're still open to that concept someplace else in the corridor, sort of in the future, but I think that effort to kind of have a mixed-use building with a real commercial presence there kind of didn't work. But in that context, we did bring to the Plan Commission and had approved, and Deanna will call me out on this and correct me in terms of what we actually got approved, but I think what we got changed was the future use plan, so that instead of being commercial, it was redesignated as mixed use. So I think effectively this change is to move, further again from the mixed use to high density residential, and we would be supportive of that given our experience kind of in the area where we have done kind of multifamily, but we've had a bit of mixed use, and what you're going to hear in a moment for our attempt to try and get a vet into our Achala Springs sort of building after a couple of years, but we've had several years of vacancies in some of our commercial spaces, and I don't think trying to do a mixed use on this Index Road site is likely to be successful, and I think that the high density residential, which I understand has got an affordable component that I believe we support and having a bit of affordable on the east side, I think that's probably a reasonable transition for the Plan Commission in the city. So I'm just here to kind of give that context of what had been put forward previously on this site, what had been supported by the Plan Commission and Council previously on this site, and that I think this is a reasonable transition as the city views the evolution of this North Fish Hatchery corridor.
All right, thank you. Next up then is Adam Gorman.
Good evening. My name is Adam Gorman. I'm here on the behalf of the development. This is called The Residences at Greenfield Glen. Just a backstory on this site. The reason we found this site is through Andy Bowman, who's been a friend of ours for a long time. Actually, my dad worked at Andy Bowman's dairy 50 years ago, so we've maintained a relationship since then. After we've done our due diligence on the site, my boss, Ted, met with Ned Hoyt regarding the adjacent development in which he created an artist lofts of sorts as a part of his development. And we would like to further execute Ned's vision with our residences at Greenfield Glen. We're going to incorporate a 3,000 square foot artist space that residents of the building, in addition to Fitchburg residents, can lease out for various activities such as music lessons, theatrics, etc. So that we're excited to have that as a part of our incorporate that into our project. In hearing Mr. Rudolph's concerns about our development, we plan to have one-to-one parking underground. So we have 147 underground stalls in addition to 50 surface parking spots. And hearing his other concerns, we'll further address them as we progress with this project. So I just wanted to provide some color and overview on this project from Gorman's perspective.
All right, thank you. Yep. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak on this? I'll close the public hearing and have staff report.
Sure. So, as noted, this area has seen a lot of development over the last few years. There's been Oshala Springs has been and then developed, and then which we'll touch on later on in the agenda, and then also Bella Springs. And so this would be, the site is located just across the street from Bella Springs is the location. The future land use is mixed use, and then the current zoning is an ag transitional. I'll go back to my map. This will be the first use of the new zoning district, high density urban, which Council and Plan Commission adopted in 2025. This zoning district intends to provide some greater flexibility in housing and hopefully allow us to reduce the use of planned development district. I think this is a good case study. This project would have generally came before us as a planned development district. So staff believes that this is a good fit for that new zoning district, high-density urban. The proposed building would be 4 stories above grade. One building will provide 86 market rate apartments. The other building would provide 60 affordable apartment units, and the affordable housing unit, which would be supported by low-income tax credits funded by WIDA 9% competitive tax grant tax credits. The affordable building, the target market of the households would be earning between 30% and 80% of the county median income. As Adam noted, there would be approximately 146 underground parking spaces, and then you can also see there would be some above ground parking, a park and playground, and as noted, there's a proposal for some artist space that could be leased out, approximately 3,000 square feet of artist space. In addition, community room, storage areas were mentioned, fitness, and then also bicycle parking would be provided consistent with the Fitchburg Bike and Pedestrian Plan. The applicant did not hold a neighborhood meeting, but did meet with Alder Reichstad, and the applicant expects to begin construction in June of 2027, with construction expected to require about 18 months. So staff does recommend approval of the rezone with a total of 9 conditions.
All right, thank you. With that new process, could you walk us through what would be the next steps in this, now that it's not going to be a PDD?
Yep. In this particular case, we'll need to do a conditional use permit. At the time of this rezone came forward, we weren't sure which conditional uses that would be applicable in terms of height and some other factors. Now I think we're honing in on that, so we'll have to bring forward a conditional use permit and also architectural design review, which we can do that together. So those would be the only steps left.
All right, thank you. Questions, comments?
Can I understand, on the park space, does that fulfill their park requirement for this lot?
It does not.
Okay.
That's a great question, but no, there would not be any dedication of park space. So park impact fees, the standard, would be required in this project.
Great, thank you.
So is the parking underground? Is that still above ground, or are you actually going below grade?
Yeah, come on up. And
if you want to come
have
up
a
to
seat.
the mics, yeah. Thank you.
So because of the change in elevation on the site, it would be partially above grade, partially below grade. So on the back side of the building, it would be, by the surface parking, it would be below grade. It would be accessed by a ramp down. I think as the land falls away towards Index Road, it would be partially above grade.
And so is the 4 stories above, the 4 stories, is one of those stories or 2 of those stories parking?
No, the 4 stories would be the residential apartment,
4 stories
sitting
of
above
residential.
a sort of podium for parking.
One of the things I love how many 2 and 3 bedroom apartments are in some of these designs. I feel like every time I see an apartment building come through, it's studios and 1 bedrooms, and then there's always like 1 token 3 bedroom in the corner. So I love seeing some actual, I don't know, these are some hardy apartments. I think that's great, and I appreciate you all bringing this. And I love that the artist's studio remained in the concept, because I remember talking about that several years back. I thought it was a beautiful concept. I also worried that it wasn't feasible, but I love that you've retained that, and I think that's a really beautiful thing, and something that I really value in this, and also really appreciate the affordable units, bringing that into the city. We desperately need more of those, and I know Gorman and Company has a ton of experience with that, so appreciate you bringing that to the city. And also want to thank you for addressing some of the fellow tenants' concerns, and appreciate you working with them on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So is it that you would only have, from the drawing here, I just want to, before we go to an ADR, that you would just have 1 access point on the north side, and it winds down, and then it goes into the underground parking on the south side? Is that right? Or am I missing something in the drawing?
No, that's what is being proposed.
Okay.
Does that meet fire code? I thought we need 2 access from the road.
Yeah, this is pretty conceptual. I don't think we've got to fire yet at this point. There could be some changes in this site plan yet.
Okay, I'm just remembering the hotel off over by Quivy's Grove over there having to get another access point. So I think something to consider. I anticipate the fire is going to need a second from the road access point.
And I trust working with staff, you'll get through those things, but one of my first comments was I wouldn't want to see just one long parking lot that you have to drive through to get underground every single time. That's going to be a traffic and pedestrian nightmare, I would say. So just some feedback before we even go to some of those further steps. But in terms of rezone, other questions or comments?
Just a comment, I'm also really happy that we're able to use the high-density urban
agreed.
zoning. I think that's amazing, and I imagine this is going to save significant staff time, so I'm happy to finally see this come through. Thanks for being our guinea pigs.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you.
No, I mean, I do. I want to echo that. I really like, I think a lot of the amount of things that I think were accomplished on this, right? I think it's been really helpful to get the context for the lot and what we think is actually going to be possible, but I think we're also really trying to maximize just kind of all the great uses, variety of benefits to the community, and at a variety of income levels. So really appreciate that.
I'll move approval of rezone RZ 263326 with the 9 conditions outlined by staff.
Second.
Seconded by Josh. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Aye. Shoot, sorry, Jason. Then that motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is 5C, minor PDD amendment for 2974 Ochala Drive. Request by Brittany Parksey, agent for McGrath Property Group, to obtain a minor PDD modification to allow for the clarification and minor edits to the Plan Development District Specific Implementation Plan zoning to allow for veterinary clinic / animal hospital use on property associated with 2974 Ochala Drive. Do we have an applicant who would like to speak? I believe it was for questions only, but otherwise, if you had anything, feel free.
You said the applicant. I'm joining virtually from Indianapolis. I appreciate your time. MD Architects is contracted to work on the interior build out for this building, and we are excited to help bring this, general clinic to the space.
Great, thank you. Then we'll have staff report.
Did you want to do that? Sure. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so this PDD SIP was approved by Plan Commission and Council in February of 2022. And the applicant is specifically requesting that the SIP be amended to include a veterinary clinic and animal hospital use under their permitted uses within the PDD. Plan Commission may consider modifications of the PDD SIP of a property as stated in code, if, in the opinion of the Plan Commission, the modification does not constitute a substantial change, then the Plan Commission may approve the change at this meeting. If the Plan Commission determines the modification constitutes a substantial change, then the change must be approved through the rezone process at subsequent meetings. So the applicant's proposed project, and it was alluded to in the last agenda item by one of our public speakers, would be a general practice vet clinic intended for treatment and care of mainly dogs and cats. No training or boarding will be conducted on the premises. Treatment and care will be limited to general health and wellness, illness treatment, and minor procedures. While practitioners may require some animals to remain under observation overnight following their minor procedures, there is no expectation of short or long-term boarding. The practice will be expected to operate standard 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. business hours, with some pickup and drop-off happening outside of those hours, with use of on-site parking between the hours of 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. Up to 12 employee parking spaces will be provided in the adjacent parking garage by the landlord, and the project will occupy the currently vacant suites of 165 through 167. They will require renovation of the interior existing shell structure, and the building also currently houses a local pet grooming business that shares common areas of the property. An existing nearby vet clinic is expected to move from its current location at the conclusion of construction. Again, this minor PDD SIP amendment provides an update to the permitted uses to allow for veterinary clinic and animal hospital use. The permitted uses for the PDD would now be as follows: multifamily residential, business as permitted by Division 3, BG, General Business District of the Fitchburg Code of Ordinances, and veterinary clinic animal hospital use. This approval would also consolidate all changes into one complete document for future use, future reference. And again, approval of a minor PDD amendment to amend the conditions of overall for 2974 Oshala Drive. If the Plan Commission agrees with the staff recommendation that the alteration is minor, it may approve the request and direct staff to make the change on record for the property's PDD SIP zoning.
All right, thank you. Questions or comments?
I think it's great, the efficiency of having both the dog grooming and the vet next to each other and sharing those outdoor spaces. I think that's great. Nice one-stop shop. I've heard great things about that pet groomer, and I'm glad that there's finally some spaces being taken. Seems like a good fit. Is this something that, I'm curious, if this was just high-density urban zoning, with a mixed use, component, would this be by right, or would this need a special conditional use?
I'd have to check on that.
Okay, it's okay if you don't know. I'm just
you
curious.
got me on the spot.
It seems like a good fit to me. It doesn't raise
I
any
think
red flags for me.
when it got tricky, we allowed BG in that PDD, but veterinarian hospital isn't a permitted BG use, so that's what got us tricked up here. It's a good question about high density urban. I'll get you an answer and follow back up.
Does that have something, is the BG exception for that have something to do with just like how it has to be modded out and what is happening there? Or like, I just see this as.
No, when the PD was originally done, staff believed that BG uses would most align for the uses there. And veterinarian hospital isn't one of the PG uses. There's.
Yeah, no, I think it's a cool infill for this space. I'll move approval of minor PDD amendment 2974 on Oshala Drive with the
No conditions.
no conditions from staff.
Second.
Second by Gabriella. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Yes. All those opposed. That motion carries. Thank you. Next up is 5D, final plat. Thanks. Final plat FP.
Thank you. Have a good day.
2632-26, request by Michelle Burse, agent for No Oaks Ranch, to approve a final plat to allow for the subdivision of 15 lots, including 4 buildable lots in the No Oaks Ranch neighborhood. Michelle, I understand you're here for answering questions. Do you have anything to say otherwise? Feel free.
Just that I believe the staff comments about the number of lots might be a little outdated. We submitted a revised plat to only have 3 developable lots at this time. I think the planner will go over that.
Okay.
In the memo.
All right. Just get myself arranged. So let me get back over to the right spot. So this is the first final plat for the No Oaks Ranch subdivision. You might recall that last November we did a preliminary plat for No Oaks Ranch. Those preliminary plats cover the entire developed area, and usually preliminary plats come forward in phases. So this is our first step of that larger build out. And kind of similar to Terra Vesa, where we did multiple additions. It's a similar process. And our last edition in Terra Vesa was 5th edition. So our first, you might recall the area that we're talking about is these lots off of Central Park Place and north of Lacey. So it's this one, and this one, kind of all of these lots in here. As Michelle noted, there's been a couple of changes. Right now, there's 3 lots that are going to move forward. As we were going through this process, lots 1 and 2 were, as we continued our discussion at the staff level, that we realized that there's some challenges in developing those lots in their size and shape. And so staff is working with the applicant to do an update to the Smart Code Article 3 that would change lots 1 and 2 to T5 and then allow a larger lot. So as Michelle noted, what actually is being proposed now is that lots 1 and 2 would be joined into one lot. Under the T5 zoning in Smart Code, it is truly a mixed use zoning. It allows for a range of multifamily, could be commercial, could be mixed use with commercial on the bottom and multifamily on the top. T5 is really the most urban district. And so 3 lots proposed, and then a total of 11 outlots, and I can kind of talk through what those outlots might look for. The first the first thing to kind of point out is last December, Plan Commission reviewed and also council a CSM for this area. So that first lot to be developed here in No Oaks Ranch was created by the CSM, and so you can see that here. And that first lot is who Corey Frank is proposing a multi-family building on that lot, and it is also on early start this evening on your agenda for early start, major construction. That's going to be postponed for a little bit more as they continue to work out the details of the timelines and infrastructure timelines. Okay, so I'm just going to double check. We got that. The proposed final plat includes approximately 1/4 of the original area of that No Oaks Ranch. However, for actual development, and the remainder of the area is going to be put into 2 major outlots that would be outlot number 5 and outlot number 11 that would be designated for future development. When those areas do come forward for future development, they will need to align with that preliminary plat when that does come forward. But 2 areas of future development. In addition, there is outlot 1, outlot 6, outlot 10, which are proposed for stormwater and environmental corridor. So these would be stormwater ponds. There is some wetland. I'll talk about wetland in a bit. And then there is a central drainage way. And also the city of Fitchburg has a major sanitary pipeline that comes also through this same corridor. So then outlet number 4 would be dedicated to the public, not as parkland, but as public open space, and also for the potential for future transportation uses. There's been, ever since the original smart code plans came forward, that site was designated as a potential transit stop for a potential passenger rail line through, and you can see the rail line runs right along that. At this point, staff does not believe that's in the near future, but we would expect that those lands would be dedicated to the public for that potential for transit uses in the future. And then finally, outlot number 7 and outlot 8 would be dedicated as parkland. You might recall that those areas up here does have some old growth forest. And so dedicating as parkland will allow us to protect those older growth forests in that area. Okay. Let's see, I think I'm jumping around a little bit. Okay. Couple other points. It's a little bit easier to see in the final plat. There is outlot 9 that there might be some questions of why that exists. That would be for the mailboxes, consolidated mailboxes in the future. Finally, I think what I will talk a little bit about, in 2021, Heartland Ecological Group identified 4 wetlands on the property. I can talk a little bit approximately where those wetlands were located. Approximately here, approximately in here, and then there's a wetland complex that kind of runs through here. I'm gonna go back here. Over the last several months, city staff and the applicant have been working closely to ensure any of the high-quality wetlands are protected and conforming to state and federal statutes. Actually, all of the wetlands have been farmed at some point here. Wetland 1 is linear And I think I have a little bit, it's a little bit difficult to see, but wetland 1 within your memo, but wetland 1 is a linear wetland that follows the drainage ditch. Actually, that drainage ditch was a man-made creation, but it's determined as now as wetland. That will remain and will remain in the environmental corridor, protected by a 70-foot wetland buffer. Wetlands 2 and 3 and 4 have been farmed and are not of high quality in terms of soil and vegetation. In November of 2025, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers issued notification that these wetlands were not waters of the U.S. and therefore not subject to federal jurisdiction. And then last December, Wisconsin DNR issued a non-federal wetland exemption and determination that allowed for wetland credits and wetland mitigation credits to be purchased. So the wetlands down here would be mitigated. The wetland along here would be mitigated, and then there is 2 portions of the larger wetland to the north that would be protected here going forward. Staff notes that the city does not accept wetlands towards the required dedication of parkland, and so the remaining wetlands just will have a buffer to protect them, and then being included within in the environmental corridor as the further development happens. The developer will construct a multi-use path through the property following the linear wetland number 1 or along that drainage way. The path is likely to connect to the roundabout just to the south here, and then follow along the street this way, along Horse Creek Avenue, and then come up along the west side of that wetland number 1. The intention is to use the existing crossing at the roundabout and for safety and to limit overall construction. Also noted in this case, the city, you might recall that also last fall with the smart code changes that we put in place, we were being more strategic about where tree wells and tree grates are going to be located. So in this case, most of the streets will have trees in just a continuous buffer instead of having tree grates and tree wells. However, tree grates and tree wells would be required along the east side of Home Street, where staff believes that there will be a more intensity of some commercial uses on this side of the street, and also the proposed park is located approximately here. Plan Commission recently approved smart code updates to allow lots larger than 300 feet wide, and so this is also this final plat is also the result of that flexibility. Staff approved an administrative approval on February 3rd to allow these larger lots, and staff notes that these larger lots are allowed, but with consideration of architectural massing and details to break up larger buildings. So I know that I covered a really lot. Happy to take any questions or comments. There are a lot of conditions of approval. 30 might be my unfortunate record. But this is a pretty complex process and a pretty complex plat. So happy to answer any questions that I can.
Yeah. Well, if 2 of the lots are going to be combined, so the plat we see is not what's intended, is it premature to approve this plat?
That is certainly can be the decision of Plan Commission. The intention, and I don't know. I have put in I put in condition number 16 to say that lots 1 and 2 may be combined upon approval.
Oh, okay.
But certainly if Plan Commission prefers not to at this point, that's fine too.
So is it typical, I mean, I know this is a large area, but there's a lot of, it seems like a lot of the conditions are things that are supposed to be in the plat to be approved. Is it usual that there'd be so many of those outstanding at the time we're asked to approve the final plat? I mean, because it's final.
I think you bring up a good point. In this particular situation, there are a lot of, I will agree, there's a lot of conditions. And part of that reason is by the time staff was going to create the memo and put together your packet, we hadn't received an updated final plat yet. That was in response to all of staff comments. So there's a lot of staff comments that are incorporated into this, into the conditions.
And just to clarify, you do recommend approval of this?
I do. But I certainly can understand your concerns that not all of staff, there are some staff comments that they already have addressed, just the timeline was so compressed that it wasn't in time to get into your packet and into our memo. I have all the confidence that things will get right, but yeah.
Is there any drawback, though, if we were to postpone to next month? Is this holding up future construction or other projects or anything?
You know, I would hate to speak on, I don't know if Michelle could offer anything on that in terms of timelines here. If this was postponed 1 month.
I would like to say that I did provide the updated plat Friday, but I don't know if Debbie, I was on vacation, so I don't know if Debbie Hatfield from MSA forwarded it on to you.
Yeah, I did get it on Friday, but unfortunately, it's just not enough time for staff to process that.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah. I wish Debbie was here. She probably has the construction schedule worked out. I haven't been provided that information yet, but I know that Capital is planning to start as soon as possible in the spring.
Yeah, I'm not, I guess I wouldn't suggest anything more than just next month in the March meeting. It would be nice to have something a little bit cleaner than.
I was just going to say this. I'm struggling to wrap my head around just the sheer amount of things, and I have to imagine a month is going to be shoring up kind of a bunch of these things.
Exactly.
So I'd be more in favor. I mean, I don't necessarily have issue with it, but other than just the amount of things that still have
We're already
to happen.
postponing the early issuance of permits for the
that's
the
right.
first thing that's going to happen on the site. So I don't think that, that's what I was kind of asking, unless there's something I'm missing, but a final plat is not required for anything that's going on right now.
E is being delayed until next month?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, indefinite. Well, we'll get there, but yes.
Yeah.
So.
What are the next steps after the final plat?
After the final plat, then we'll go through a subdivision improvement agreement. I'm not sure if if there's phasing in that subdivision improvement agreement, you will receive that here at Plan Commission. Not all subdivision improvement agreements do come to Plan Commission, only the ones that have phasing, and we're still kind of working through what that might look like yet in terms of phasing here. It's certainly possible, but that would have to come first. And then there's a lot of background work with Public Works to get approval of plans, of construction plans, roadway plans, the utility plans. After all of that is in place, then before we can get to any building site construction, then of course we'd have to go through the Article 5 approvals for Smart Code.
One thing I was unclear about when I was looking at the submittals too is just like what exactly is obviously, like, I know there was a lot of discussion about the different outlots and the wetlands, but like, how many buildable lots are here? How many homes, like what type of homes are going to be coming? Like, I don't have a sense of what this is going to be. And obviously I know we won't see it again because it's going to be smart code. So
Yeah. Oh, okay. So I can talk about that. So in this particular plat, there are only going to be 3 buildable lots. That's all. And those are larger lots. It would be this one right here, which currently in your packet is shown as 2 lots, but now it will go to 1 lot, lot 2, and then a very large lot 3. Likely those lots will be developed as multifamily, maybe with some mixed use on the first floor. That is the most likely use. So in this particular plat, as what's proposing under this final plat, there are no single-family lots proposed here.
but there would be single family in future phases?
Yep, and single-family in future phases. You might recall, I guess I can bring that up quick too.
I guess I'm just a little unclear because I remember from the Terra Vesa final plats that we typically would see generally what was being built. We would see kind of like the layout of the townhomes and such. So
yeah,
I'm just not used to this.
There isn't any single-family or townhouse lots in this particular version. In this particular final plat, if you might recall, the preliminary plat had single-family up in this area, and then it had single-family all through here, and we're just not there yet, right? This infrastructure has to be built first before we can get up into the single-family lots. That's really what's happening here.
For what reason? Why is this sequence? Why does it have to be built first?
Utilities, right? They'll build the utilities and roads off of Central Park Place and then work their way to the north is how they'll do it. You don't, it's very expensive to build a road like all the way up here and then build housing. So they'll work south to north with the road construction and utility construction.
But for the multifamily, like we don't even know like how many units it would be and what type of housing.
Nope, there's not really any limit in terms of density at this point.
Because that also makes me feel like it might be okay to push it a month if we don't actually even know.
Well, we're not going to know.
Oh, because of
it's smart code.
Because of smart code. Yeah, it won't come back to us, but
yeah, these lots normally would not come back to you once approved. Yeah, it is an unusual plat because there is so much stormwater and drainage. Like this whole entire area will be dedicated to the public. So it's a very unusual plat. You don't usually see something quite like this with just 3 larger lots. It's kind of the nature of where we're at in terms of the sequencing of development.
I just think if there aren't any negative ramifications, that if it's supposed to be a final plat, it should be closer to final.
Okay.
So who wants to make the motion?
I'll move postponement of final plat FP 2632-26 to next month's meeting.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that motion carries.
Thanks, Michelle.
I was giving Jason extra time just to make sure. All right, so next up is 5E, early issuance of permits for home street multi.
Oh, hold on. What was that, Jason?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Can you hear me when I talk? I did say aye. Okay.
Okay.
We couldn't hear that last one, I don't think, right? But you did an aye on that? Okay.
I did do an aye, yeah.
So early issuance of permits for home street multifamily development, and we're looking to postpone this one.
Yes, I request, or the applicant requests to postpone, to no date certain, so just postpone indefinitely.
I'll move to postpone the early issuance of permits, home street multifamily development indefinitely.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? That motion carries. Next up is 5F, Resolution R-38-26, authorizing the commencement of an action in circuit court for the purpose of relieving the city of the plat restriction in Outlot 1 in the plat of Mickelston's Woods by amending it to include public transportation and support facilities. Would you like to talk us through this one?
Yes, okay. All right. I will do my best. So the property in question is this one, right here off of Brendan Avenue and McKee. So Walgreens is right here up in the corner. Here's Fish. And what is proposed for this site is a BRT, Bus Rapid Transit Charging Station. The city was dedicated this particular lot for public purposes, but one of those public purposes was not public transportation and support facilities. So what is happening is our city attorney needs to go to circuit court in order to allow for an amendment to those original dedications of Outlot 1 so that the BRT can use this site for a bus charging station. It's really that this would be the end of the line for the BRT bus rapid transit.
What's the plan for the conveyance of water that's happening through this space right now? If we were to build,
Yeah, I didn't even know if they put the building that they're going to build is very small. It's just going to have a restroom. I guess they don't have it shown in there. I guess we should have brought you a site plan, but I think not most of the site will be undisturbed. There'll be a little pull in for the bus, but the building will be a very small little building, just as big enough for a restroom, some storage, and then the electrical equipment. So there should be no impact to the drainage way. That's not the intention.
so just to understand, are the buses going to come up from the south then? Because they're these big double long buses, right?
They come down past McKee, turn onto Brendan.
I think they'll come this way and make this loop.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think that's the loop that they will make and then come back and head back north.
Any questions?
I will move approval of resolution R-38-26 with the 0 conditions outlined by staff.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? That motion carries. Thank you. 5G, Resolution R-49-26, approving an affidavit of correction to the public pedestrian/bike path easement and maintenance agreement and assignment on Lot 66, Outlot 41, and Outlot 42 in 7th Edition in 9 Springs.
Okay, this is the outlot in question, and actually this is 2 very active building sites, if you're familiar with. This is the Lido is coming up. That is Avante's apartment building, and also then Life Point Rehab Hospital is under construction, and they got the steel up too, so it's really moving. The unfortunate part is there was a small error in the easement description for that pedestrian and bike path. This will be used as an alleyway, but also a pedestrian and bike path that will connect to future development. In our smart code plans, we show a public park here developed at some point, and so staff felt it was important to include a passageway that would allow a public bike and ped path through there. The unfortunate part was there was a small error in the description of the easement, the legal description of the easement. So this is an affidavit of correction that will be recorded referring back to that original easement document to correct that error. We do these once in a while when there's just a small error. And so staff just recommends approval of that affidavit.
I'll move approval of resolution R4926.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Aye.
All right, that motion carries. Then next up, we have report from departments. Let's start with the Ag and Rural Affairs Committee.
No meeting this month.
Excellent. Next, Transportation and Transit.
Yeah, let me pull up my notes. We met last week on Thursday. We were made aware that we had been approved for a federal grant money to create a comprehensive safety action plan. It was an application that we did with multiple municipalities on the Madison Metropolitan Planning Organization. There was some uncertainty about whether or not we would actually get the money, and it looks like it is finally moving forward. So that was exciting, something that we didn't see coming. Also got an update about Fitchburg Road reconstruction. They're having some issues with property acquisition, which might cause a slight delay in starting the project, but it will still start this year. Also, we reviewed the traffic crash data in 2025 that's provided by the UW TOPS lab. Talked about injuries, the types of collisions that are happening, all the different contributing factors, looked at crash data, heat maps, and other things. All this type of data would be useful when we create a comprehensive safety action plan. And then we also reviewed the transit data, that's the public bus data from Madison Metro. It'll be interesting to compare it because there is plans to expand the network in the summer this year. So it'll be interesting to see how that changes when the buses become more frequent. That's all. Thanks.
Is that crash heat map available either publicly or to the commission?
Yeah, I'd recommend watching the meeting. He kind of goes through it and walks through different graphs, but I believe that information is public.
Okay.
I'm not 100% certain if anyone can just search it if you needed login, but we have access to it easily. And we were asking questions and he was pulling up the map data and showing us. So, and it's statewide data.
I think it'd just be interesting. I just feel like we get into traffic assessment conversations a lot. And so it'd be just kind of interesting to understand, if a nearby intersection is a previous hotspot and that we should be pushing for, that to be assessed or incorporated or whatever kind of thing. So, okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any updates from the department then?
Yeah, I do have a couple of updates that I would like to share. First of all, the RFP for the comprehensive plan update and the zoning code update are out and open for review, and hopefully we'll get some really good proposals back, but proposals are due for both RFP. The one was for the comprehensive plan update and also for the zoning code update. They're both due March 6th. So please let me know if there's any questions or concerns about that. The staff is preparing some zoning code updates related to farmland preservation. You might recall there was some discussion already a couple of years ago. The city has a farmland preservation zoning code. That's our zoning district, and that is certified by the state of Wisconsin. That certification is expiring. It needs to be renewed by the end of the year. And so staff's been working on some changes and updates to our farmland preservation. Unfortunately, the timeline just doesn't quite work with our zoning code rewrite. So we'll just push ahead with getting those changes made and work to incorporate any changes that are necessary into the future zoning code. Minor comp plan amendments are also open for applications. We are accepting applications. They are due March 17th. To date, staff is not aware of any specific minor comp plan amendments that are coming forward. And then finally, the staff is working through a hiring for our planning intern for the summer. So we'll hopefully bring someone on for an intern this summer like we did last year. And that's all the staff updates, but happy to answer any questions.
So do you have any idea what the timeline would be on a comp plan zoning code? Is that something that's going to go into like the entirety of 2027 or is there, okay.
Yeah.
Would it even to 2028 as well or?
I would expect so, to get all the way through, the zoning code.
So
rewrite,
probably like
I
a
would
1.5
think.
to 2 year
Yep,
process.
I would say give yourself 24 months.
Great, thank you.
Sure.
All right. If there's nothing else, take a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And we are adjourned, 7:44. Thank you, everyone.